It's always a pleasure to be with you on the show Perspective every Monday. And we must say thank you too for keeping a date with us. Perspective is a weekly program that highlights trending issues as they unfold in the country. Well, like Mayowa said, how can the country checkmate cybercrime and to what extent can that actually be achieved? That's what my guest, an ICT guru, Dr. Evans Woherrm, will be sharing with us perspective this Monday on the program. My name is Bukky Towuru. Well, academic research will not take a Wikipedia definition in any research work, but Doctor will give perspective to that. Meanwhile, what I got says cybercrime is a type of crime involving a computer or a computer network. The computer may have been used in committing the crime or it may be the target. Dr. Evans, good morning.
Good morning.
How are
Glad
you?
to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming again today.
Thank you very much.
So let's know from you your perspective. What's your idea of a cybercrime?
Okay, thank you very much once again for inviting me. Cybersecurity is all about safeguarding systems, whether they are hardware, software, or even data from cyber attacks. We live today in a world in which information technology has become very, very important. Not only the information technology in terms of just computers, software, and data as we used to know it, but today we are living in a world of exponential technologies, including artificial intelligence. What this means is that the ability of people that want to cause problems for individuals or organizations have also increased. With the use of AI, people have even greater ability to break even codes, so that even when organizations try to make sure that they put firewalls, that they put authentication systems, and they've made sure that people are using strong, passwords to make sure that people are not going to get access to their systems. It still, could be broken as a result of some of these powerful artificial intelligence that are at the disposal of people's hands, today. But, having said that, there are also many systems that are also very, very useful today in countering the attacks of cyber attackers.
Okay, so the country now, as we speak, a report in the Guardian newspaper that I read of March 2021 says the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has ranked Nigeria 16th among the countries most affected by internet crime in the world. That's in 2020. This 2023, a lot of development has happened. So where is Nigeria?
Well, the truth is that Nigeria has a lot of people, about a population of about 220 million, and a lot of these people are young, and they are also very IT, literate. They are doing a lot of things in the world of IT and in terms of the internet. As a result of that, of course, there are always going to be some of them that don't play as they are supposed to play, that are always, into what here they call Yahoo type practices, and therefore that are into all kinds of cybercrime activities. It's happening. It's happening here, just as it's also happening in so many other parts of the world.
But how bad is the Nigeria situation?
But for what you've just said, I wouldn't have thought that the situation here is worse than many other countries in Africa, or to talk about so many other countries in the world. Yes, it happens. Some organizations find that they've been attacked, one way, or the other. But it's no way, something that can be compared to a lot of the Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 companies in places like the US, Europe, China, even in terms of the number of attacks they get on a daily, basis. I believe, yes, it's happened here, but it's still not to international, levels.
But they have a figure here that Nigeria has received about 443 complaints that's relating to internet crime within the year in 2020. Victims of scams globally lose up to $4.2 billion in dollars, while comparing to what it's happening in 2019, where they had a $3.5 billion. Let's look at a critical case that was actually celebrated. Is that the word to use? Raymond Olorunwa Abbas, also known as Ray Oshpopi, who was also arrested in Dubai in a hotel in June 2020, seemed to be the notable cybercrime that attracted media attention. Do you have any record of any other one? Probably, because I also want us to look at, if we identify the people who are in that space, what can be done to counter the negative work and turn it to positive? Because technology is supposed to advance our living.
Yeah. The case you just mentioned is an unfortunate one. Yes, it did happen, and the mastermind is now in the prison in the U.S. It's unfortunate, and is that the only one? No, there are many, others. Even if I might not be able to name, their names, but there are many others in the country. What is even more important is for the country as a whole, organizations in the country, and also individuals to realize that there are ways they can safeguard, themselves from this type of, crimes. And a lot of these criminals are not even targeting solely Nigerian organizations or Nigerian, individuals. They are even targeting countries and individuals that are abroad. They see it as a way of swindling, some of these organizations or individuals using the skills, the talent they have in the cyber world to do so. The country should continue to frown at this, to continue to have all kinds of systems and surveillance, approaches that is going to make sure that a lot of people don't see this as something they should always continue, because of course it's given the country a very bad, image, and I believe that it is something that we can curtail through the right kinds of approaches.
Okay, over the weekend, somebody worked somewhere, and I was just looking at the guy do the work between 12 and 7 p.m. And at the end of the day, what he got was 3,000 naira. And what went through my brain was, how will this be enough for this guy? Compared to somebody who feels that if I sit behind my computer and I know my way about it, I'll make millions of naira in just a very short amount of time. It could be enough reason for anybody to want to take to that. But at the same time, how can the country, you talked about the youth, the population is really big and they are in that space, and they are the ones who are very resilient, they are the go-getter, technology is not new to them, they keep advancing as well too, as technology keeps advancing. What role probably can the government take to help channel their energy into a positive thing for the country?
Definitely, that's a very good question. The truth is that there are just too many young people that a lot of them are graduates. A lot of them have the potential to do so many, good things. But unfortunately, the outlets, for them to get jobs, the outlet for them to even start their own, businesses, as a result of lack of capital and other skills that are needed, makes a lot of them to channel their attention, to cybercrime. Apart from that, there's also the fact that in this country, whether we like it or not, there's a certain kind of exuberant spirit of wanting to make it. Everybody wants to blow one way, or the other, and if there are not legitimate, approaches for them to do so.
Is that spirit actually silent? Because it's actually very loud. People want to make it an hammer, like they will say, by all means.
Exactly. So when that, in a way, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that a lot of people are in a hurry to make it. It's a good thing. Because that means that this is a country that always will be bustling, that Nigerians are always going to be very eager to go out there and do something and prove, themselves. What that also means is that the government has to make sure that there are legitimate manners, legitimate ways they can channel their, energies. And that, to me, means that the number of jobs in the country has to increase enormously, so that a lot of these, youth are going to be gainfully employed. Then a lot of them should also be encouraged to start, businesses, But currently, I'm absolutely happy with what is happening with, let's say, the Ministry of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, trying to raise 3 million talents by 2027 in the area of ICT. 3 million.
You see that happening?
I see it absolutely happening because it's doable. I believe that they can even do more if they want, to. But that's in terms of theory. But in practice, whether they will actually, because as I said last week, most of what we need to do in this country, the only thing that is stopping us is the will. The will to make sure we execute with a single-mindedness to make sure that at the end of the day we succeed. If we execute in such a manner that we are targeting that 3 million, in fact, trying to even surpass it, I definitely think we will be able to do so. And the government also is going to encourage a lot of, our people, especially in the area of IT, to start businesses. They are going to, be there to teach them on how to raise capital, to teach them on how to start businesses, to teach them on how to, manage businesses. I think, in a way, this is something really, positive.
The 3 million project that the federal government seems to want to handle, if you want to unbundle that 3 million into different figures and sectors, which one would you be asking that they take priority that could probably help also shift the attention of the young ones into liking crime, or just, have a look at it that can take their eyes off it?
Yeah, to me, the beauty about information technology is that it has the prospect of being a catalyst for every sector of our economy. So that being the case, whether it's agriculture, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's starting all kinds of ICT, companies, software engineering, companies, whether it is even recruiting, talents that some of which will even provide their services to organizations that are even outside of, Nigeria. I believe all these sectors are very, important. And as a result of that, as people are being trained, they should also be encouraged to go to some of these sectors. Of course, in a country, like ours, apart from the oil, and gas we have today, which we all can also, see, even though it is the major export of the country and the major income in terms of foreign exchange that is coming into the country, there's still so much we need to do, with regards to some of the other sectors. Healthcare, being one of them. Mining, being, one of them. Agriculture, especially also, is very, very important. For each of these, take for example agriculture and all our mineral, resources, we should be able to harness them in such a way that all aspects of their value chains, we are paying attention, to them. So that at the end of the day, we don't just provide the raw materials and export only the raw materials. We should also make sure we develop them in such a manner that we can, export something that is going to give us a lot more income than just exporting the raw materials. So I believe that if the government, trains all these people in such a manner they can get into agriculture, healthcare, and so on, it's going to be very useful to the country.
Okay, we'll pick up the conversation to look at what are the consequences if it is not eradicated or at least brought to a halt, where it does not affect the country's economy and some other things that relevant organizations saddled with the responsibility of checkmating cybercrime in the country. Few perspectives that you can share with them that they can use in helping to curtail the challenge in the country. Well, that's 12 minutes before midday, so we have about 10 minutes of conversation here now.
Okay.
So let's dive into checkmating it. You offer some solutions to it. There are relevant organizations saddled with the responsibility. How do you assess them? Let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. Cybercrime is something every country must tackle and tackle head on. In our own country, we must make sure that we tackle it in such a manner that even other countries can see that Nigeria is one of the safe havens, with regards to information technology use or information technology access or anything to do with the world of the internet. As I also, said, we are changing gear from the world we used to know that started, let's say, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. That was when information, technology came, to the fore and became very important. So many people were calling it the age of the information or post-industrial society. But today we are moving to the age of intelligence, where artificial intelligence is given organizations and countries. In fact, so many countries today are competing on the basis of artificial intelligence, who's going to get more mastery, with regard to artificial intelligence, and therefore who will use that to outcompete all the other nations of the world. AI is a game changer, the ultimate game changer. A lot of people have pronounced it as more important than anything that had been created, in this our world. More important, more powerful and more dangerous also than, let's say, the nuclear, weapons. Do you get it? So if that being the case, our country has to pay enormous attention, to AI. Now, all these technologies come with good, but they also come with ills. Do you get it? So since they have a lot of ills, they can potentially unleash. Because to me, when I'm now thinking about the dangers of information technology, I'm not just thinking only about cybercrime as we know it, today. Cybercrime as we know it, a country should have a good national policy on how to tackle cybercrime. That's absolutely a given, very important, you know. But a country should also have some institutions that are responsible for handling certain aspects of, safeguarding the country from, cyber, crimes. But it's not only countries that are responsible for doing this at governmental levels, but even businesses, other organizations, even individuals have to also make sure that at the end of the day, whatever they do on the internet is safeguarded.
Most for government offices, I want to speak to that, in establishments, you will find a lot of people in that space. How knowledgeable are these people even on these things that they want to fight, or you are asking them to pay attention to? I had somebody who went for an IT in an organization that was expecting that the basic computer skills everybody in that organization should have, but that wasn't the case. Should government start from there first so they can safeguard the space, the CBN, some other important organizations or corporations or parastatals that will need that security, that their firewall will not be easily hacked?
Absolutely, correct.
INEC, yes, one
Yeah.
of those organizations.
Yeah, absolutely correct. The government, through the national policy on ICT, through the particular policy that it's also going to develop with regard to information technology security, including cyber security, must make sure that people are highly knowledgeable of the kind of things that can go wrong. And for you to know the kind of things that can go wrong, you have to also know a lot about the type of technology we are talking about. So organizations, especially, of course, all organizations, but the government particularly must make sure that within the public sector, all organizations have to train everybody on ICT. The more people are knowledgeable about ICT in our country, whether it is the public sector or the private sector, the better it is going to be, for the country going forward. Because the more we know about these technologies, the more we can also know the kind of things that can go wrong, and therefore what we need to do to safeguard ourselves, from all these things.
I want to, well, let me see. I want to actually give government a pass mark when it comes to training. And that training has to happen. So if it's not happening with the public sector, that government is putting their funds into individually, how can each person probably acquire these skills within your own confines?
Yeah, I agree with you that the government is done so much in the country with regard to training, but you will also agree with me that a lot more needs to be done. It is by so doing that at the end of the day we are going to be a country in which almost everybody takes ICT.
Self-development in that regard.
Sorry?
Self-development.
Yeah. Everybody should take it very seriously, and most of the time when I talk to the youth, I tell the youth, look, the society we've just gotten into, this post-industrial society, this age of AI, it's incumbent on every one of you as individuals to make sure that you are up to speed. Yes, your organizations can help. Yes, the country can also come up with some policies and also even make sure that certain organizations are established. But at the end of the day, we all owe it to ourselves to make sure that we are really up to speed with this new technology, because believe you me, it's a basis for competition in the world we are living in today.
Nigeria is not in isolation. It's not an island. We're living in a space where we're competing the youths in Nigeria are competing with their mates all over the country who are probably exposed. Some countries even manufacture this.
Correct. Some countries not only just manufacture, this in terms of all the hardware. The hardware systems are not manufactured, here. To me, this is a negative for a country like Nigeria, the biggest, country in Africa in terms of population and the biggest economy, at least currently in Africa. We should be manufacturing ICT systems, hardware.
NITDA, NCC, what will be their role probably to help shaping this? There was one again, I spoke with the DG, I've forgotten the organization now, who also is looking in that direction.
Okay.
And helping with the technology, fabricating some in this country and bringing experts into Nigeria
Okay.
to actually train people to get into that space.
Okay. Yeah, definitely NIDA has a role, to play, not only just as a regulator of the industry and the one that casts, also assists in providing a lot of the policies, but NIDA also acts as a catalyst, that tries to even put certain things in place that is going to, galvanize people into doing things in some of these spaces. NCC is also, trying its best, but their own main focus is still, communications. But generally, the world is moved on. There's even something called quantum computing. If we think that conventional computers are very powerful, then we should even wait until quantum computing comes in.
And how many organizations can actually boast of computers? It looks like luxury to some.
Exactly. So some organizations, a lot of countries like South Korea, like China, of course the US and a lot of countries in Europe are all working so hard to produce quantum computers. And that is a game changer, especially when combined with artificial intelligence. Where are we in all that here in Nigeria?
Nigeria quickly would import such things.
Yeah, importation and being able to use it eventually is good. But
And so that
me,
it doesn't come into something negative.
Yeah,
because that's what we're actually trying to deal with here.
Yeah. Being able to import and use is fine. But being able to be one of those fabricating those things is even better.
I guess we'll leave the conversation here. Thank you so much for your time. 30 minutes of a beautiful conversation. Eye-opening. Dr. Evers Woherrm, an ICT expert and Chairman Digital Africa Global Consult. Thank you for your time. The program will return next Monday on behalf of the team. I sincerely appreciate your time with us on the show. My name is Bukky Towuru.